And welcome back, everybody. We are still in Chengdu for our first series of the day because it's gone on to Game 3. And if you had told me, Clement, that this should have been a 2-0 victory for OMG, I'd call you crazy. Smack me out of it. What's going on here?
The thing is that JD Gaming, they're running into a bit of trouble both in the drafting phase and in the objective control. That last Baron fight was pretty atrocious for me. I didn't like it. They had a lot of options early on. We're going to look at the fight a little, just a little bit in a while. The main thing is that JD Gaming, they need to know when to back out, when not to overchase, and when to keep their cool.
And I do want you to run this by me because it was a rush here from JDG. What went wrong?
They really could have turned around. If you look at this fight to start off, they already have the Xin Zhao out of the picture. They have the Galio as a zoning tool, but what they choose to do is engage on the Alistar, and it backfires so poorly. I really love what 5 did right here. Perfect CC chain onto Imp. Imp doesn't get any damage at all, and then Xiyang's there to clean up the back end of the fight as well. What JD Gaming could have done was, hey, we have the Xin Zhao low HP. He can't even come near here. We're going to burst him down into single combo. Just turn around and start working on the Baron. You have the Galio to zone as well. I really question that play right there. That's the play that really gave the game over to OMG.
But they felt real pressure. That's what it seemed like. It seemed like JDG on the map getting pressured throughout. And on top of that, you saw a top laner, Xiyang, really going to town in the bot side of the map. But guess who takes MVP? It's the trickster himself. Icon's going to be coming out that one as the victor. He really put in a lot of work. It's when he gets the LeBlanc that he does his job. 34% damage percentage on the assassin.
The most important thing for Icon is that he held out onto the early game. The early game looked like it was going down the drain for OMG. You look at that top side, it was going horribly. You can look at the bot side, they weren't even that far ahead in CS. But with that solo kill, with the early roaming plays, and especially the back that he disrupted in the backside, in the bot lane, it was able to give OMG so much time where they got their turret plating gold, they basically got the mid lane for free, they got the top side for free as well in losing lanes, and that's what really kept OMG alive throughout the mid game.
Yeah, strategically it worked out so well for them, and it's so magical to see with Icon, right? Because with Icon, when he's on that LeBlanc, there's that level of raw confidence that you don't get to see before. And when you just saw that 1v1 outplay, or at least 1v2 is what I mean.
Yes.
You saw Jarvan right in front of him face, but he said he had all of the tools to get the solo kill. You don't see him doing that anymore. Let's say, since last we saw them as the 4th best team when they had SMLZ on the bottom side of the map, it's been that one-man show trying to bring up a second person. But it seems like every step of the way, they're like, we need to retool our team. New jungler, go back to Xiyang. But at the end of the day, the way they get victories is off of Icon's plays.
The thing about Icon, for me, he's icing on the cake. Yes. He's really sweet to look at. You know, he's what you focus on when you first see the cake, but it's not the cake itself. Icon doesn't tie himself into a win condition. That's the biggest problem I had with OMG, is he's an assassin, but he's not really a side lane split pusher. He's more about ambushing the enemy team, and that's what I really liked Allah on the team. I felt like Allah gave them a solid split pushing win condition. You look at his Fiora, his actual most played champion. I know it's crazy, but Fiora's was actually Allah's most played champion, and Camille was coming in second as well. He was able to push the lane a lot of times to the point where the enemy team just broke up. He was getting inhibitors by himself, and that gave them a solid win condition. However, for this OMG squad, I haven't really seen that. They've worked really well in this series in terms of the draft, in terms of punishing the mistakes, but for me, that's still not a coherent picture.
Yeah, I think the presence of mind, the calm demeanor is something that they really had been lacking for quite some time. It makes sense that with Ali, he doesn't provide that. He provides skill, and debatably, you know, more hectic comms, right? You gotta go in. Guys, take the Baron! There's 4 people on me!
I'm 1v5! I'm gonna trade back!
Get out of here! So for them, it was like, while it worked out at the very beginning of the split, they've been running into troubles.
Yes.
Do you like how Xiyang has been playing this one out? This has been a struggle for him, but it seems like it's been working in some fashion.
Not really. Okay. I feel like Xiyang is still very rusty around the edges. I love you, Rusty. I miss you. But he's not really having the impact. Now, we know Xiyang as more of a engaged type of player. Back when SMLZ was on the roster, his best champion was the Jarvan top lane, where he could create space, make that engage play, make those engage plays for his team. But in this new era of the LPL, I don't think he's as strong an option. he was known as finding those solo kills on other blue-collar top laners.
Yes.
Back in the day, the LPL was ran by a lot of Chinese top laners that were purely tank players, and Xiyang really feasted in that environment. It's different now. You have 369 running around, you have Ala running around, of course, on your own team, but you have a lot more carry-oriented top laners in the league right now. Xiyang is not finding the same purchase as he was back in 2017, and it just leaves him in a very awkward type of situation. You're not sure what his role is.
And so just talking about roles, it seems like there's going to be a role swap here. Flawless back in their victory. Flawless was there and at least was able to lead the later portions of the game. But the early game has been really difficult. Not the only swap. As you can see, Imp out, Bvoy in. Bvoy has been a marquee, I'd say he's been a great Ezreal player. He's been someone who says, you don't have to put imp resources into me. What I will provide for you is so stability on the bottom side of the map, and then I can at least come in team fights. Who do you prefer in a team fight setting? Because we saw last game, team fights were not an option there for Imp.
Yeah, I think the key thing you're saying right there is that he's not resource intensive. He's not like a bot lane where you pick something strong for Imp, but you do have to throw in resources to make sure that lane isn't constantly ganked or put behind right there. So I really do read this as a change that JD Gaming is trying to focus all in onto the top side. Now Zoom's been doing a great job himself. I felt like he would have gotten the MVP if he won that game too. But with the jungler not having to go bot, I want to see Yagao get ahead, because that's what we've been missing throughout this entire series. Icon has had the upper hand.
And they've been targeted, at least in the draft. Draft has been a target straight towards Yagao's head. He's not been able to get the LeBlanc. He's never going to be able to get his Zoe. What can he pick up here outside of those champions where he can really make an impact in these games?
And he has to make an early game impact at that. Corki's not really going to do it. Looking down Yagao's champion pool, the one thing that I would say he does have would be the Syndra and the Lissandra. Both of these picks are very strong in terms of the laning phase. They're hard to be bullied out of. But also, we have seen OMG once again targeting him very heavily. He's never gone to take the Lissandra. That's always been taken out of in the draft phase already. So
he had that one Lissandra game in the series, but that was one where they were looking to consistently bully the top laner and Sion on that one. And even then they were running into early game issues. So it feels like even with the Lissandra pick, it's not getting the job done. Perhaps you can move on to the point where you're saying Syndra. Syndra is a great pick currently that's coming into the meta.
It is something you can look for. I'm always a bit hesitant to recommend the Syndra. I'm not a big fan of Syndra.
Yeah.
If you guys can't tell by now, I'm not a big fan of the Syndra. She's one of those champions, like, I feel once again is very much like Icon, icing on the cake.
Oh.
She doesn't tie into any win condition particularly well.
I know
not a great team fighter.
This week we got to see, you're right about not the best team fighter unless if you have a phenomenal Syndra player. And it does matter about the skill, if the skill of the player really exceeds the champion. And so I think one player, Mala came out with the Syndra earlier this week, and he was great on the pick, was able to bully out the lane. There is the risk as you're referring to, because if we're seeing Icon and Xie, now known as Penguin, just go in 2v2, look for mid, try and do anything we can to get the kill, Syndra might not be the option.
It's pretty risky because Syndra does put you in a situation where if she gets ganked and is behind, she provides nothing else.
Yes.
And from the past history that we've seen, Icon's actually okay taking the LeBlanc into the Syndra matchup. That is a matchup he will willingly play into. We've seen it against, I believe it was Dornby where he played the match out and still came out ahead. So it's not an easy situation that Yagao is being put into right now. And to be honest, he's going to pull out. He might need to pull out something new or just go back to the Urgot. I think those are the two scenarios where we see him.
When do we think he can go back to the older picks that we saw in 2018? I know Yasuo is a great pick into 9.3. We've been seeing that, like, Nuke Duck's been playing as assassins now. We're seeing the Sejuani and Yasuo combination now that we're not necessarily seeing a lot of Aurelia play. So we're going to be going in a big ban to figure that one out soon. Now that we're seeing JD,
do you want to see the Yasuo?
I want to see it, man.
Oh,
he is such a great Yasuo player. But going into it, not surprising, no Zoe as OMG bans out the Zoe and Lucian pick. Then you look towards JDG, no Cassio and no Gragas. Cassio as a blue side ban both games. It seems like JDG are not willing to pick it up themselves.
Yeah, it definitely does seem like the case. Their bot lane hasn't showcased the Cassiopeia ever yet. Probably not even playing it much in scrims might be the case. OMG, for them, they selected the red side themselves. Always on the red side. Question is, what are the counter picks you're going to go for? Xiyang's probably going to get this one again. and it's going to weigh heavy on the minds of JD Gaming about that LeBlanc.
It's funny how Yorick has dominated the picks between both of these teams. Zoom picks out Yorick, gets a split push victory, and then Xiyang had Yorick. Didn't have to really concern himself with the whole sheepish issue of getting dominated in top side. Zoom being able to pick up those solo victories and having Flawless or Levi come up and dive him. Felt like he could just go towards the split push game again.
Oh, so I do like the ban from JD Gaming. It is taking away the Yorick just to free up the Urgot.
Yes.
And this can go into both lanes, but we have been seeing a lot of counter picks crop up across the different leagues against the weakened Urgot top lane. On 9.2, Armor was taken down. We've actually seen the Volibear dominate the matchup, coming in from G-Rex on the LMS, and also a couple of Riven picks going up against it, where the all-in potential just forces the Urgot out of lane.
They're all carry picks though, and that's the question. Are you willing to put Rise on Xiyang or the Jace in that matter? We'll have some time. There we go. It's going to be the Sion, which people will have said is a 50-50 matchup that Sion does well into. You're right about a weakened Urgot. His W cooldown much longer now, so he won't be able to bully you. You should be able to weather that storm.
Definitely the case, and I think Sion's pretty much locked in for Xiyang at this point. I don't see Icon playing something like the Sion's, just not his style so far. And JD Gaming, like we were talking about earlier in the start of the series, this is exactly how they want to draft. They're putting up a potential for a flex pick in the top lane, and they got themselves potentially the best bottom lane there is in the Xayah and Rakan. Yeah,
Xayah Rakan, such a strong duo, the lovers duo that they have here. We've been seeing a few Xayah games, one in particular from Uzi, but didn't have the Rakan duo, so the laning phase wasn't as strong. This time around, it seems like Bvoy and LvMao are looking to strike there. They're going to have to go up against an Alistar, as that's the composition for OMG. It's going to be Kaisa Alistar with a Sion, likely going top lane for Xiyang.
And OMG have built a very solid foundation with the first 3 picks, late game win condition. Also with the Sion in the top lane, which I think is much better fit for Xiyang rather than a split pusher at this point in his career. And for JD Gaming, the question still kind of remains. You're going to see a counter pick coming out from Icon. And there are no good champions that Yagao can really play right now. Not in terms of the champion pools that we've seen him pull out this split. So he's going to have to focus down on Icon and take away picks.
We're going to be seeing solo lane bans here. Vladimir and Swain gone. We're not going to be seeing Zoom on either carry options. And then for JDG, focus in on Icon. No LeBlanc. We saw what happened last game. We don't want to be on the receiving end of that one. Bvoy doesn't have to go through the same trauma Imp did. And actually Olaf as a ban here for Penguin.
Okay, this is very interesting. Olaf is one of those picks that does very well into Xayah and Rakan. Xayah has a very hard time getting away from the Olaf in general, especially pre-6. You can just chase him down. So just looking for a bit more safety on their bot side. Penguin, this is his debut series, so we haven't really dug deep into his champion pool. I honestly don't know what to expect.
He plays a lot of tanks, and that's the case here. It's not surprising that he goes towards the Jarvan, because he is a major facilitator to what was an assassin in the LDL that he had in the mid lane. So it makes a lot of sense that coming into this team, it's more of a drag and drop. There's no stylistic change that comes into this one. So Jarvan, teamfight comp, this looks like what OMG is looking to pick out. Counter pick in mid lane. Icon has gone towards team fight mages in the past. I just want to see if he wants to double down on that one, or maybe even pick up the unnerfed Akali for himself.
I like the Akali. That's music to my ears. It's also a decent matchup into the Urgot as well. Once you get the sustain, Urgot can't really do much to you in that lane. But JD Gaming, right now they have to reveal their hand. Who's going to play the mid lane? Lissandra's left open.
This is when we usually can look as a cheat in summoner spells. Icon still has cleanse here, so fully expecting the Lissandra to get locked in. And at this point, pick up any AD carry. AD carry, I say that because that's a Corki answer. After looking at the last game, Icon says, "You ain't doing it right, Yagao. I'ma lock it in for myself and show you an example, a coaching session. After this game, not only will I take your LP, your games for you, but I want that cost as well. I charge $150."
All right, I did not expect the Corki for coming out, because the Corki into Lissandra actually isn't a very good matchup for the Corki early on. You do lose out on the lane push priority. It does give Yagao a comfortable style to play on. And OMG, I would not say they have good side lanes at all. So OMG is actually all inning on teamfight presence. This is a very strong teamfighting team if they manage to make it later into the game, but their early game is a bit suspect.
Yeah, very slow you get to see from the Corki. We already saw what happened last game. Laning phase is not an option. You're supposed to try and play that one out slowly so you get the CS advantage, or just, you know, try and pick them up as you go along underneath your own tower. At least we saw a little bit of a snippet in the last game. Hex Drinker is always the rush here for the Corki, so he's going to try and survive. And that's not the best you see from OMG. When OMG's at their top, you set up your mid laner Icon to succeed really early on, but it seems this time around they're trying to give him that team fight late game presence.
Yeah, this is a worrying draft for me coming in from OMG. Usually when you're on red side, you pick lane counters, you have early presence, you try to win the game fast, but this time around it's completely the other end. They're going for the late game team fight. And remember back to Game 2. Game 2, JD Gaming were winning across the board in their lanes. It was only Icon who kept the game in their ball court, made sure that they could survive through the middle phases of the game. Right now, it's going to be a test. How defensive can OMG actually play?
Yeah, they look rejuvenated though. OMG versus JDG. JDG need to find something new. Lissandra for flawless. That essence of confidence for him. When it comes down to what makes you you, you saw Icon in the LeBlanc, won't be able to get it this time. But Flawless wants that control so he can take home the series, head back to Beijing happy. We're getting into Game 3. And we already know how it goes in Chengdu. I don't even have to wait for the crowd for whatever reason. Maybe we don't have a mic on them.
Yeah, that does seem a bit weird. I think all fans in their home arenas do start the chants. It probably is maybe a tech issue. I'm not going to doubt the love and the passion of the Chengdu fans.
They love the game. In fact, I hear them in heart. Go OMG. All right, but maybe they're just, you know, they've seen the level 1 in Game 1 and they don't want to bank on how it's been happening, because OMG's level 1s have actually just been atrocious so far. Xiyang losing out his flash last time around. You don't want to see it. Take a look at the summoner spells. Makes a lot more sense for Icon to have fleet footwork here. Comet was just a laning phase option, and guess what? Yagao didn't have much of a laning phase that last game. Yep. So much more HP being picked up as he has the sustain of fleet footwork.
I really do like fleet footwork because it makes your split pushing that much stronger in the later phases of the game as well. You do a lot of damage and you get the ratios both off AD and AP for fleet footwork. So really nice use of that. Earlier on, we're going to see Flawless start very aggressively. Now, if you guys don't know, Flawless and Lee Sin, they're pretty much synonymous in the LPL. They represent each other. Flawless, our best Lee Sin player for the spring split of 2018, getting 7 straight victories.
Yeah. Undefeated until they went up against Invictus Gaming, and at some point, one of those two have to be defeated. IG having their historic run at that point. And Flawless, when he picks up that Lee Sin, he wants to challenge the enemy jungler. He knows he's better, or at least has more experience. He sees Penguin without much HP, waiting. Now he's, oh, the Wolf, get out of the way! I want to throw my Q out. That Wolf was just that second member playing well for Penguin. He gets a pay raise.
I think Penguin's last name is probably Stark, because that was a very loyal Wolf right there, defending his master the entire way. But I'm actually surprised Penguin ended up on that side of the map. You did see that he spotted out the Lee Sin going into his own jungle.
True. Just didn't think he would be that confident to push forward. Penguin is actually even more curious to see it, but take a look at the damage here. Valkyrie's in. Yagao getting a lot of hurt. You didn't expect this matchup to go this hard in favor of Icon. He's going to get challenged here. Flawless wants him. Flashes to early. Oh, there we go, but here comes Jarvan. Penguin,
can he get
not
the double?
Good enough, but that's a double kill there for Corki. Icon gone mad this series.
That's not supposed to happen in the matchup. I want to see what happened. Yagao must have missed his Ring of Frost. I think that's the main issue right there. It didn't look like, it looked like Icon could hold on to his damage until the Aftershock actually wore off. Lissandra is supposed to get the push throughout the majority of the laning phase. She's supposed to be able to chip down on Icon's HP. The Corki is not supposed to get a solo kill.
Yeah, there's a lot of supposes, there's a lot of theories, and Yagao is probably trying to count the numbers during his death time. He's trying to figure out how did things get so wrong here. Honestly, just run it through me.
Oh, wow. Yagao dodges out on 2 Qs right there in that trade, and he was already starting out low on HP. Icon just a marksman, a sniper on that phosphorus bomb, does drag him out early, and then another great play to get more damage back.
Thankfully, Lee was able to throw out the Q before the Jarvan flag and drag came in through, because he could have dropped, blocked the Q damage, saved Corki out, and Corki would have gotten so far ahead after that one.
Starting out horribly for Yagao. We said that this was going to be the most difficult matchup he had to face for JD Gaming's side, and this is going to speed up Corki's build by a drastic amount. It could go to the fast.
Very creative look here. There is a pop-up onto Alistar. Good lockdown to Ignite thrown on top of him. Not level 6, so super easy to take the kill. 5 will go down. Predicts the flash. Welcome back, Lee Sin.
Oh,
welcome
boy.
back, Flawless is Lee Sin.
Hey, you can tell that's a play a blind man could make, because that wasn't about vision. That was just about knowing the enemy's heart and knowing their habits right there. I was surprised that 5 actually decided to use his flash. He was pretty much dead no matter
100%
what.
dead. What was he doing? He reminds me of Daredevil right there. I'm just talking about Flawless, because he read his heart rate. You said, he's flashing. For whatever reason, this man thinks he's still alive.
5's idea there was he was going to flash once he heard the sonic wave come out. He was listening on that sound. He heard the sound, and he was like, I'm going to flash this Q.
Insane.
And, yeah, Floss did. Oh, man. This is why he's the best Lee Sin player we had in a long time.
A lot of great Lee Sins in this league, but we have to, bow our heads to Flawless. Levi, I know you're sitting over there, but just relax for a bit.
In terms of plays that Flawless has made on this champion, he deserves that #1 spot. I'm not saying he's the best jungler. I'm saying he's the best Lee Sin.
Greatest Lee Sin of all time. I'm just going to do it for you. That being said, Yagao is getting tag teamed. Flawless, nowhere to be seen here. 5 didn't have his flash. Remember, blew it bottom lane. That would have been the difference. 100% Yagao would have had to either blown his own flash or would have died in that situation had the flash been there.
It does change the matchup quite a bit on OMG's side, because I think Icon's going to be able to roam on his first package. It does come out at 8 minutes. With Lissandra not having control or shove in the lane, that means Icon is freed up to make a play either in the bot side or the top side.
Take a look at this. He has Call too, so he's trying to get that extra bit of gold. You remember how strapped for cash Yagao was in the previous game, trying to get to the rapid fire cannon start. But not only do you get the sustain off of that, but just that beautiful 300 gold. You gotta have it.
Yeah, I love the way that Icon's been playing the matchup so far, and Sion doing a good job in towards the top side as well. We did see some bad trading level 1s, level 2 against the Urgot, but he has stabilized the lane. So OMG, we were talking about the game plan where all 3 of their lanes were kind of slow off the bat.
That's true.
Icon reversing the situation.
Yeah, speeding it up, saying play around me. Speaking of that, Flawless trying to get the early Cloud Dragon. Remember, Cloud Dragon does a lot of the damage, most damaging dragon out there, which doesn't make sense design-wise, but I'll just put that out there. We'll be able to solo out. Extra bit of movement speed perhaps could be a nice bit of setup there if they're trying to go top lane for Zoom and a gank. But roll the dice. Next one's going to be Infernal.
That's always a good reason to take the Cloud Drake off the map. And Flawless, surprising amount of damage. Nearly putting Icon in kill range.
Yeah, really well done. And on top of that, major objective there is actually just holding his base, because if it was perfectly well done, Icon backs there, comes back, he should be able to meet the cannon wave that's being pushed into tower. He doesn't have teleport on Corki because he really didn't want to get ganked with that cleanse. So, yeah, gonna be hard. You might just miss a lot of minions because Flawless messed it up.
Now this is the when the sirens are gonna start sounding. We do see Icon picking up his first package. It does give him the extra movement speed to get back into lane. And it's going to be a pretty dicey situation if JD Gaming actually wanted to contest this. You don't really want to fight the Corki when he does have his package off.
And
I would say try to delay it.
You know that Icon is a playmaker for this team. He wants to utilize it not just to get in positioning, get the lane faster, or pick up blue and just you know, hold it back to the mid lane. He wants to try and get a play going back bot lane. Might not work out for this first one just because it seems like it's timing out for him, but always keep an eye out, tracking Icon's movements here.
Yeah, insane base damage on that package as well. So it basically is a mini equalizer at this level. You don't really want to fight a team fight against it. I like JD's Gaming's move. They had full control of the river, full control of bot side, but they knew they didn't want to take the risk against Icon.
Can Valkyrie out there, may not have much mana, but remember he picked up blue buff. Still need to handle Lissandra, the blue. Also gets mana starved fairly easily. But take a look at this. The silent assassin in the top side of the map. I would say Zoom has been doing so well in the matchup. 10 CS ahead. You even have to have Xiyang ulti right back. Didn't have teleport. So back in the same situation he's been in for the past 2 games. Losing turret plating and constantly having to use as much as possible to just keep up in lane.
Tough situation for Xiyang. He has been a member of the OMG squad for a very long time. Actually started out as a mid laner, was known as for his Syndra as well.
It's really fun. It's a fun story because you're right. Mid laner turned support for a little bit. I actually loved his Morgana support. I'll put that out there. I enjoyed it. I think he could have continued on as a support, but then 5 came and you're like, all right, okay, you can have this. And he comes back as a top laner, one of the most versatile players that we've seen in the LPL.
Yeah, he was a good mid laner to start off as well, but the team just kept on picking up even better options in Cool and Icon, and he actually was willing to self-sacrifice, learn a new role just to stay on the team.
Positive mentality, and also just always had his niche of champions, so he's always had something. Xiyang Maokai is one thing. He's a meme out there because he always wants to pick it up. He's always been a phenomenal Maokai player. When he was a mid laner, he looked good to start, and then people recognized he didn't have anything past the Syndra. So he's always found something, and he said that I can play this role because I have the Morgana, the Syndra, and the Maokai. But he's really made a name for himself, at least when he came back into the top lane, because he had so many champions he could go through. He's not the most proficient top laner, I'll say. He is getting bullied a few times, but at least he's confident enough to put it on the field.
Yep. So doing what his team needs right here, and we could be seeing a potential second steal from Penguin, trying to take away Flawless's lunch.
It's happened a lot by Flawless, always looking to go towards the Rift Heralds early on, but OMG, at least in Game 3, can cut that shenanigans out of there.
Yeah, not a fight that Icon really wants to take. The burst potential from Yagao, very prevalent at this stage of the game.
Oh, headbutt Pulverize is coming in just for a little bit of damage, but that's actually going in favor of Bvoy. So just notice that the dual lane is working so well for Bvoy and LvMao. The turret plating is huge with the lethal tempo. Trying to get the stun onto Chelly doesn't pay off. But this is a cannon wave. They know that Alistar took a lot of damage. There should be another turret plating here.
This is what I was worrying about for OMG. The draft really was not I would not consider this a strong draft by any stretch of the imagination. And there's also so much roam potential from either side. It really makes it difficult for Icon to play. I think the big question here is, can Icon make the play before these Silene towers go down? If that's the case, then I think JD Gaming is just going to run the map.
Take a look at it, 119 minions for the Corki, but it seems like more pressing matters in the bottom lane. This tower should go down. Take a look at Corki just right behind them, understands that he does not need to be needed in the mid lane. Right next to Penguin, there's 4 members ready. Still TP there for Xiyang, but he has to base. He has no mana, so if he wants to be here for the play, definitely needs to find that time.
Oh, and all the members are spotted out here. I do believe Flawless did see the pick. Oh no, he actually
there we go. LvMao hopped up. Didn't even get to see the second pop up from the flag and drag. He died too quickly.
Sorry, my mistake. I didn't see that the control was actually placed by OMG, so they denied vision for JD Gaming. They hid Icon's position and able to walk away with the kill.
Yeah, not much you can do there. You saw the grand scheme from Flawless. He was trying to come in from a flank, but that just happened way too fast. That's a Sion ultimate going top lane, and at least the trade actually getting pushed away from mid lane. That's Corki picking up the wave, so huge advantage once again in favor of OMG. They are behind in terms of gold, but that composition is really slated for the late game.
And this is the thing we were talking about. Icon needs to strike first. His lanes are going to go down if he does not influence them, and he's going to get nothing back in return. Picks up the Infernal Drake, goes great for late game win conditions. And I want to see if he's going to be able to get another good play going. Do remember the package is on a 4-minute cooldown. Oh, so he either has it now or, sorry, maybe he used it in the previous fight. Actually does have it.
He's going to be rolling out there. He looks really fast. You're right. He does pick it up for himself. But that's a Rift Herald being picked up here. OMG primed for this fight. Take a look at the fact that Lissandra has been like, oh my goodness, great follow-up. Zoom's going to get knocked up just on the edge of Sion, but that's a teleport here from Yagao. Really low 5 is, but he's going to get out of there. Not going to be the case for Jarvan. Penguin gets popped. Same goes 5, and that's a botched fight pick in the top side for OMG.
So easy for JD Gaming to turn that around. LvMao in position. Yagao there roaming just in the nick of time as well. And OMG, they're trying to equalize things. I respect the plays that they're trying to make right here. They lost the bot side, so that, you know, they said, what, you know, we're gonna move our bot lane out of this bad matchup. It's not gonna get better. Let's try to trade something back for it. Force too hard on the kills.
Yeah, in theory, it feels like a lot of this is them not understanding where the wards are being placed. The flank ward was so effective. They thought they had Zoom here. Taking a look at this, just run this one by me because Zoom seemed like he was caught out and is good. That was wonderful from 5.
Yeah, I love that mid-W flash coming in from 5, but Zoom was in even better position, to be honest. Already got himself underneath tower, and LvMao there with the perfect cleanup in this situation as well. You can see Icon trying to look for the play with the package. His teammates are already dead by then.
Icon had to move mid-side first, and Lissandra was first one to the play. Speaking about first one to the play, Lissandra's top side has to go back to base. It seems like Icon is still stationed mid lane, has a good lot of wave clear, but now has to deal with Bvoy's wave clear.
I will say though, JD Gaming, they do have a, oh, okay.
Where were you even? Like, where were you to begin with?
I was like, wait a minute, why is Sion taking no damage from Urgot?
This visual bug has made me go crazy.
It definitely has.
I'm in an insane asylum. It's called the LPL.
Now, I wonder how many bad plays we're calling are actually not bad plays. They're just like visual bugs.
You were there all along, and let's just hope
not a bug.
Let's just hope that was a visual bug. Let's hope that LvMao was never there and didn't die, because he certainly did.
Good clean up on OMG. Remember, OMG still have the late game to bank on. Both Corki and Xayah, great late game options. I would say superior late game options to what JD Gaming have in store. So even though the game looks like it's in JD Gaming's favor, we do have to remember they're the one pressed for time. They're the one that have to speed up the game.
It's really interesting to see, while it's OMG being strapped in the early game because of their composition, they are finding good opportunities. And it's mostly based off of 5's looks in his headbutt pulverize. He was looking topside, but he's just there holding hands with Chelly. But here comes the look. Flawless, looking for it. Had his flash available and wanted to get the dragon kick, but was not going to happen.
Yeah, very close on that play. You can flash out of the Q2 damage, but the window which you can do so is very, very short.
All right, they're going straight on 5. That's a lot of damage that 5 has to deal with. Chelly didn't want to commit to the fight, but now he's got to deal with it. Ultimate's away. Flawless right into Yagao. That was a dunk, but that's actually a misplay. Chelly is still alive, but there are a few members coming in. Teleport here by Zoom, and it's Xiyang all left alone. You're going to go to hell, buddy. Boom. And that's a lot of members down from OMG's side. 3 members to be exact.
Yeah, the entire squad of JD Gaming forcing their issue right in time. This is JD Gaming's best trait, that they're always willing to roam and join the team fights no matter where their members are on the map. This is LvMao's best champion in the Rakan. He's great at saving situations like we saw right there. It looked like a very extended fight where maybe Xiyang could get something back with his crowd control. Great control on Flawless. Gets himself out of the situation, even burns and survives a couple of ultimates from Penguin.
So this was 5 not choosing the same direction Chelly had, where he was just getting a lot of damage placed on him. Used his ultimate fairly late because he didn't believe that this was a full committal. Yeah,
it was a really good play on Yagao as well, holding on to his crowd control. I'm actually super surprised that Flawless was able to survive that situation. Does get LvMao's help a little bit, and this is the issue with playing a game where you have 3 lanes that are going to be consistently pushed in. You could see the roaming potential from JD Gaming is just that much higher.
Strong
and
point.
Once they saw Icon was pushing the mid lane, they were free to make overload any of the side lanes.
Yeah, a lot of people tend to believe that that's just limited to the laning phase, but if you just look across the board from JD, Bvoy, who's been stationed mid lane, has had great shove with his feathers. Easily a great, one of the best, you know, split. Just a shoving champion. They're going straight towards Xiyang. Gets stunned out. Still has a lot of damage to spare there. But just so much pressure here from JDG.
JDG looking to tie the knots up on this one. Already 5k gold ahead, pre-20 minutes. Should be a fairly easy Baron turn. They have the engage potential to just bait it out for days.
Corki has package, has moved slightly to the left, usually a big indicator of that. Gonna be coming straight down, and once you hear the noise of that, we may not be able to hear it as spectators, but you certainly could believe that JDG backed away because of that. So 2 towers being picked up, I want to back away from this playmaking potential.
I really like what Icon is doing right here. So he's skipping a lot of the steps, the prerequisites for a strong Corki build. He's going over the Hex Drinker. He's going over the
rapid fire cannon.
He's going straight for the Infinity Edge on this build, which is a bit troubling because Infinity Edge actually doesn't have.
You need some crit.
Yeah.
So like, remember this is 9.2. If you go for an IE early on, you're just going straight for the damage itself rather than for the crit chances, where it really just becomes inefficient.
Yeah, I actually, now that I think about it, I thought it was a good idea. It's like, oh yeah, he's going for the big ticket item straight off the bat, and then wait a minute, this is actually super inefficient.
It makes a lot of sense for the last time we saw Corki, when Infinity Edge was a viable first item. And so it's funny how the meta can come all the way around. This time around, I guess we'll see more damage, but no. Really should just go towards the rapid fire cannon route.
I wonder, yeah, if he doesn't complete it, then I can say it's still fairly okay.
Yeah.
Just get the extra magic damage on your auto attacks.
The other option is Guardian Angel with the BF sword. He's just going to be hanging on to the pickaxe. I think that's fine since it's going to inevitably go to the IE. Just a lot of options here. Icon is pretty far ahead anyway, so a lot of that gold that he's picked up for himself, the enemy team's still going to be feeling it.
You can see OMG both the top side and bot side. Oh,
this guy is playing too much in the Korean solo queue ladder.
Yeah.
I'm putting that out there. You're not playing in the Ionian solo queue ladder if you still think this is fine.
He must think he's the most unluckiest man alive. He's like, wait a minute, I'll attack 10 times. Where's my crit?
Where is it? What's going on here, guys? All right, all you really need is one. All you really need is a Zeal. So as long as you can get some damage across, and the damage is still there in the kit, so it's not completely wasted gold, just inefficiencies. So just taking a look at OMG, they have Sion out in the bottom lane pushing out. Means that JDG want a fight as long as Zoom is with them. Great control around Baron side.
And you also have to remember the amount of engage tools they really have. LvMao, Lee, Yagao, all of them can find very easy catches. So it's the question is, how can OMG really test it out and outplay the situation? They do have a lot of things that can check the Baron rush. The flag is one of them, and also the constant poke coming out from Icon is one as well.
They have great mid control here. OMG, seems like JDG want to be able to take control of that one. That would be a free mid lane loss. And if you lose that mid lane outer turret, makes it a lot easier for OMG to be able to dig deep into your topside jungle. So good defense here from JDG.
OMG with the correct play as well. That's what I like to see from teams. If you can't find any access into the Baron pit, you might as well push mid. It is a risky play, but at least it draws people out of the pit.
It's definitely something that I appreciate. You know, you get farther and farther along in the season. Week 1, you get to see all the monkey plays. You get to see how everyone is trying to go for a play. It's all playmaking here and there. You don't see the smarter option amongst with like the mid-card teams. Now you're really seeing teams, especially OMG, you could see a lot of growth from there. They may be changing out members, but the coaching staff and the mainstay players, the shot caller has been there for long enough to really rein in some discipline. Here comes Icon, trying to get some damage on top of LvMao.
And as we typically see in the LPL, the first week is the shortest game time.
Yeah.
Everyone just going haywire, going
Every
crazy.
time.
Monkey business, like you were talking about. As the split goes on, we actually increase our game time quite substantially within a single patch even.
Take a look at this though. These long timers really does make these team fights all the more scary. Look at all of the gold bounties across from JDG. They have a pretty large, pretty substantial gold lead. But the fact that we are going up against a scaling composition, Icon getting opened in on, but that's a great Valkyrie, and a miss from Zoom doesn't get the ultimate. It still wouldn't have done enough damage, but it would have incentivized Flawless to look a little bit further for more damage. But they know that Icon's out of the play, and it might just be enough to start up on that Baron. Well, looks like they see something mid lane, though. They might want to look for a pick onto 5.
Corki isn't here.
All right, that's a knock-up, and that's going to be Alistar off the map immediately. Doesn't even matter that he popped ultimate there. They're going to go straight for it. So this is just their main engage option gone. If OMG want to contest for that one, that's either going to be Penguin or Xiyang. They still have team fight options. Wonder how committed JDG are to this 50-50.
Yagao has great warding across the map as well. Penguin's going to have to play this perfectly.
He's losing a lot of damage. This should just be an assassination. Flawless just wants the kill, but he gets healed, and it's Flawless in danger. Wait a minute, that's an ultimate on top of him. Chelly is down. Jarvan is down. Xiyang and Icon got to get out of here. Icon, I think he's safe. He's got to get out of there. There's going to be split fights here, so it's going to be Sion being picked up by both the Urgot and the LvMao. And it's Icon who's safe, but he's the only one.
Insane play from Yagao right there. Chelly already popped the Killer Instinct, went into Supercharge. He should have been, I'm not sure if he got the invisibility yet, but he was tagged out by the Ring of Frost anyhow from Yagao. So Chelly basically gets no damage off in that team fight. Great catch on the Lissandra.
Zoom is too tanky, so it's going to be Alistar and the Corki dealing with this. 5,000, HP on that Baron though. Smite, early smite. They still have one left out there, so I don't know how you're going to steal this. I think they're just going to look for the fight to eviscerate Icon. Icon is a little bit sticky. There we go. Gets the kill. And I think Urgot is a little bit too far out there. Will be traded if OMG wants this fight. Here comes a teleport. That's going to be Xiyang, who spent his time down. Does he still have his ultimate? No, he doesn't. I'm going to have to check. But it's going to be enough damage to pick up Zoom. LvMao and Flawless didn't want to help him out. Good decision because they have themselves the Baron buffs.
Yeah, good pickup kill right there, but is it enough? I think OMG are way too far behind in this game. We're going to watch this again. This is the early fight where I want to pay attention to what Chelly is doing in these team fights. Yagao had a tremendous catch onto him. You could see him Killer Instinct, but still caught out by Yagao. Basically ends his life, and that's all the damage left on OMG.
I really wonder what the call there was for OMG. Were they going to try and take the fight, or they're trying to steal it? Because Penguin's position in that area was really suspect. If you're saying we're not going to go for a fight, we're going to try for a steal, it makes sense for him to be in that position. But he was isolated up against what seemed like Flawless, and at the time Yagao. So just really unclear positioning when you're going for a Baron contest.
Yeah, I feel like OMG was just way too far behind in terms of map control at that point. They tried to go for a steal first, knew that it wasn't going to happen. Then they tried to force into a team fight victory. Pretty much all of it going sideways. Really good warding job at JD Gaming. I really like the control ward around the Krugs. That means that even if Penguin was trying to escape from the situation, you could still have eyes on him.
Yeah, it works really well. I think JDG is one of our best Baron teams whenever it comes down to it. They have position around Baron. They're going to execute upon what would be either a turn or just a rush perfectly. So OMG couldn't really deal with that. Now they're in a position where they're getting split push top lane, bot lane, mid lane. I don't know how they're going to be able to get this one through. Colonel agrees with me, as it seems like 85% could be in favor of JDG.
Triple Cloud Drake's being taken already. It means great news for the 1-3-1. It makes it much easier to collapse on any single lane.
And this Corki having to deal with the bottom lane. He is debatably the most damage for his team. Super far ahead, but it seems like the game has turned against them. Penguin, you can see him going back and forth. When is he going to draw the line? He's going to be the one that wants to go in alongside 5, but where is the damage coming from? Bvoy is going face tanking, honestly, so he is so confident that he could be the one to walk up forward because he still has the ultimate in his back pocket.
Yeah, you really have to get Bvoy down at this point. Here comes
Here goes.
5.
Got the headbutt pulverized, and that's no follow-up there. Penguin doesn't have much HP, so this is a botched engage unless if the ultimate comes through. Here comes the flank from JDG's carries. Zoom has so much damage. This seems like 100% a lost fight from OMG. They had a great series, but they couldn't be able to lock it in while they were in Chengdu.
Yeah, great team fight from Bvoy right there. He actually gets to accidentally nick Icon, so the Corki, no damage coming in throughout that entire team fight. Chelly was already into the back lines, but he wasn't enough damage to really take down any of the members. And that's pretty much the only chance that OMG had. It's Icon against the world.
10 seconds for Chelly to come up, but that's asking for too much. Icon's trying to do his darndest because that's a lot of minions. You're already focusing on the Nexus. No, it's hard. It's way too hard for Penguin to get the damage down. That is Nexus down. Game 3 goes in favor of Jingdong Gaming.
JD Gaming closing down the deal and sending OMG on their way to the toughest stretch that we've seen in the LPL so far. Remember, these guys, in terms of their plus minus, are sitting at 16th place in the LPL for OMG, and they're going to run into a stretch where the team with the worst record they face, the team they face with the worst record is actually Edward Gaming.
Yeah, so let's just go straight through it. OMG has to go up against, I mean, they've gone past JDG. Next opponent is the undefeated FPX. Then it's Suning. They may be slumping, but they're a super team and they're probably angry at this point. Then you go up against Sino Dragons and Edward Gaming. A possibility is out there that it doesn't matter how well they can play these games out. They can be 1-9, now updating their current standings from 1 to 4 to 1 and 5. Really a struggle for OMG that feels like they're doing a lot of things right, but it's just not coming out as results.
OMG, they're still struggling with their identity. I think that's the biggest issue that we're seeing right here. Going from one game, strong lane, strong draft, to another game where all 3 lanes should technically be behind in the matchup and having to wait and scale. It's just a level of difference between these two styles that I don't think OMG players can actually adapt. It feels very, very weird to see a 180 happen in the game 3.
It's hard. It's a level of variance that they can't deal with. You would expect the level of variance to be there for JDG, who swapped their members. You see in this game, Flawless come back. Bvoy come into game 3. We didn't get to see him for the first 2 games, but his laning phase was great. Bvoy had a stellar game 3 where Imp lacked in game 2 and 1.
Yeah.
And so that's nice to see from a new upstart.
This is Bvoy filling in only 3 games so far. This is one of those situations where his champion pool and his style does work out for the team. You can see a lot more focus onto Yagao, even though it didn't work out, I will say. So JD Gaming take this one very solidly. They have been a very consistent performer so far. The only teams they've lost to have been TOP and FPX.
Yeah.
So, you know, defeating all the teams, taking the wins where they needed it, even against Invictus Gaming, and losing to the teams higher in the standings. That's what you want to do if you had the choice.
Yeah, they can do it. It's funny how the standings has really rolled out for us, because at this point in time, JD could come out and say, well, they're 8th place. It was so close. Everyone was neck and neck with 3 and 2. And then after that series, it looks like they're in 4th place, really trying to vie for that when Suning is in the building. And Suning right now are not having a good time. So it's crazy that every series counts. It's halfway through the split. You need to be able to get the job done. And with the AD carry position, I think is starting to round out. And the top lane is looking really good for Zoom. I'll ask you for this one.
Okay.
Who do you think is going to be MVP for this game, and who do you think is going to be MVP just for the series? I know no one puts that out there. There's no one coming out and saying MVP for the series, but I feel like who do you think it is?
I would have to say Zoom in the top lane once more. There's just too much pressure being put there, and you could see him taking down the tower basically. You know, there's no real contest right there. Bot lane played the matchup great as well. You're probably not going to give it to Yagao because Icon actually outplayed him a couple times.
That was the Icon show. There.
So I would say Zoom overall for the series, and it's just so much questions for OMG because this is a team that I really want to succeed. If Icon ever gets on a good team, just imagine Icon in playoffs in big moments where it's an assassin meta rolling around. You know, Zed's coming back at 9.4. He's actually having one of the better win rates right there.
You're right, though.
And I just want to see that. I want to see Icon finally get another crack at it in playoffs.
Yeah, in a big stage. We haven't seen that in a little bit. It's insane to say that with how strong the mid lane pool is, that a last place team, let's go through them, have phenomenal mid laners. LGD, last place team, has our solo kill king with Yuki. Then you're talking about OMG. I'm just going to move past Snake. I'm going to move past Rogue Warriors. Team WE with Xiyang. Doesn't matter if you have that talent in the mid lane. Almost guaranteed that the enemy team will have that as well. The coordination is necessary. Or that X factor. Top lane talent has been the name of the game for this year. So Zoom, huge performance here, just bullying Xiyang, honestly.
Yeah, realistically in the LPL, you're probably going to have 12 mid laners that could be that could earn the top spot in other regions.
Yes.
That's how crazy it is in the LPL so far. Knight, I think, is runner-up, top of the class right now, looking to contest Chovy, throwing it down and trying to be the stopper of Griffin. I really want to wait for that matchup if it happens in MSI.
I think MSI is going to be insane. We had a lot of like home names, people already knew these names coming into it, and I'm just referring to the whole AD carry class going in. People were talking about Double Lift, like Reckless, so many names being thrown there. Uzi, of course. And then now it seems like a lot of the mid lane class coming in, but a lot of new names. I know last year people who knew who Chovy was and was hoping to the heavens that he would go to Worlds, but that's not where Griffin was at that time. But this time around, it seems like there are so many top-tier mid laners, and then Caps is coming into that name as well with how G2 is doing, that it's just so nice to see how well TOP has been performing. That no matter who we send, be it TOP, FBX, IG, or even what we saw with this current series, with how well JDG has been playing, Yagao, I think our mid laners have been exceptional.
Yeah, it's not a clear-cut fight this split or round. In Spring Split, it was either RNG or EDG. That was pretty much, or Invictus Gaming,
yes,
if they had the Shy. It was a very clear-cut deal in the playoffs in spring of 2018. People pretty much knew what was going to come. This time around, people don't.
Yeah, not a lot of people know. But what you need to know is the MVP of the last game is going to be Flawless, the jungler, the guy that set you up. He set the ball up for you. Now, I would have loved to have seen Zoom pick up that one, but take a look at his hands. He sees it. He has the ball in his hands. He knew that he really set you up. His Lee Sin really was a pain in the butt for what OMG had. Penguin had a great game 1 and game 2, but in game 3 he was being smurfed on.
Most important job that Flawless did in that game 3 was keep Icon down. The man started out with 2 kills, but Icon was able to contain him to his lane. Never really got any roams and never got any snowballs beyond that point. So I think that's the reason he's picking up the MVP. Good work on his signature pick and good work on those early 2 kills as well.
Get the win rate up on that champion so you can start the ball rolling again. I know that last year it was an idea of, pick what was comfortable for you. The Lee Sin really worked for him, and I would love to see it going forward. Do you think the same?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Flawless is making his way back into the upper echelon of the junglers on the table. Had a rough 2018, but his heater started new.
All right, it's new year, new JDG, going to be heading back to Beijing. But how about you stay firm? BLG versus Sino Dragon is going to be coming right up.